Welcome to Planning with the Moon Phases. I'm Carrie Bailey, your instructor. Thanks for attending. I'm a biologist and a certified herbalist, and I teach a lot of classes like this. I wanted to share some of my experiences with you. I've got over 30 years herbal experience, as well as 25 years of horticulture experience, and I find that working with the seasons and working with the moon has really helped me accomplish a lot. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can visit my websites, herbalelements.net, as well as herbalelementsacademy.com. If you have any questions, you can email me at herbelements@gmail.com. So you might ask, well, why plan with the moon cycles? Well, it's never too late to plan with the moon or the lunar cycle, although January is the best place to start. I usually promote this class in January because a lot of us are making resolutions during the new year. We want to have changes, a new year, new you, so to speak. So I find that incorporating this method with those resolutions and those things that I want to change really helps keep my focus more targeted on the different lifestyle changes that I'd like to make. So it helps create healthy habits and keep things in a more timely manner. So this method helps teaching us a connection with the earth and its cycles, helps us to be more mindful and focused. And in the long run, we get to accomplish more and our productivity increases. So I've been doing this for years. It really helps me in many ways. So there's 7 main benefits of planning with the moon cycles. The first one is creating healthy habits and personal rituals. You might not think about that, but it's time to start doing that, scheduling time for those things. And by doing that, that makes us healthier because we're paying more attention to ourselves. And then if we're creating things like making herbal remedies or gardening or that kind of thing, things tend to work out better when we're following the moon cycles. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It also teaches us to live in the now, to be more focused and centered. We can be more organized, we can accomplish more, and then we get to learn a lot of self discovery about ourselves. We can prioritize what's important and what's special for us. We also get to learn something new, maybe take a class, learn how to garden, bird watch, go someplace new. So it's a good time for thinking about those kind of things. Now, the moon phases also affect the Earth, and the moon itself is a cycle split into 4 quarters. And the waxing phases is from the new moon to the full moon. That's when the moon is absent and grows to full. The gravitational pull is low. The moisture level is closer to the soil's surface. Tides rise, and so does the water in the ground. And that's the new moon in the 1st quarter. Then we have the waning phases. That's after the full moon goes to the new moon, so it grows from full to absent. The gravitational pull is the highest, so the moisture is the lowest in the ground, and that's the full moon to the last quarter. The tides tend to be highest during the full and the new moons, and then lowest during the opposing cycles, with the average lunar cycle being about 29 and a half days. And how I remember the last quarter from the 1st quarter, so if you look at the moon and you see where the moon is visible, if you look towards the left and you see that left side has the moon, it's the last quarter. Think the L with for left, and then the 1st quarter would be on the right side. Now the moon phases also affect energy. The new moon is for new things, new beginnings, relationships, good time to start changes, go on an adventure. And the waxing moon is increasing for growth, learning, healing, transformation, creativity. And with the full moon being meaning fulfillment, a good time to cleanse, harvest, protection, wishes that can come true, fulfilling. And then the waning moon, when the moon is decreasing, it's help good for releasing, recharging, resting, relaxing, and letting go of things. The full moon also has their own names, and these names are derived from Native Americans and the early colonists that named each one of the full moons an element of nature that applied to that specific month. So you can see them referenced here, and there's a few different variations here that, in case you hear some different things, but starts off with a full moon is the wolf moon in January. Oftentimes you can hear wolves howling at the moon, so that's why they called it that. And then we proceed to February, which is the full snow moon. And then oftentimes there's snow on the ground in February. And then March would be when the worms start coming out of the soil. So they call it the worm moon. And then April's pink, and so on and so on. So that's where we get those names from. Now we can also plan our planting around the full moon and the moon cycles. And there really is something to that, planning your garden tasks around the moon. So science has actually proven that by the theory is that the alternated gravitational pull the moon has on the soil, we can take advantage of that by the different moisture levels. So during the new moon, when that moisture levels higher in the soil, that's a good time to plant seeds and things above ground. During the full moon, gravitational pull is the highest, and that pulls the soil, the moisture into the soil, where we can then start working below ground. So um, the Farmer's Almanac is a great resource for that. You can get an app or get a paper calendar and then just kind of write on there each month kind of things that you'd like to do, especially when we're talking about like March through maybe September, October, the main gardening seasons. But think about those moon phases and how they're split up. If we start here at the new moon and then we go counterclockwise, that's when we could start planting things above ground, crops that seed outside of the fruit, greens, broccoli, pansies, things like that. Then we get to the first quarter to the full moon. That's a good time to plant crops that seed inside the fruit, like tomatoes, peppers, beans, squashes, that kind of thing. Obviously, we have to be mindful of the weather when we're sending those things out time of year. And then when we go to the full moon to the new moon with that third quarter here, we plant that waning phase, we plant below ground crops like root crops or things like that, or hardy trees and shrubs. And then when we go from the last quarter to that new moon, that's a great time to harvest, transplant, fertilize, those types of things. Now, our personal care rituals can also be planned around the new moon, and we can start with organizing, decluttering, making lists, getting ourselves organized. And then we need to schedule also our movement, our exercise, our yoga, stretching, hydration while we're moving, of course. And then growth, our personal growth, indoor growing as well as outdoor growing. So maybe developing our new habits, maybe taking a class, but learning about something new and growing. Self-care, our DIY beauty routine, the things that we need to do, masks, um, different things that we need to do to make ourselves feel good, massage, sleep is super important. So make sure that we are giving ourselves the body or things our body really needs. And then our health, we want to give ourselves our holistic remedies that we might need, eating superfoods, eating good quality foods. Remember to hydrate properly and to really keep a diet that's healthy, that's has the least amount of sugar in it and processed foods. Cut down on excess alcohol, smoking, things like that. And then being mindful of ourselves, what's going on, meditate, read, learn, continue to use your mind as well as our body. We need our whole body exercised and utilized. So the things that we plan for, you want to make them attainable, you want to make them realistic and very specific to yourself. So think about the things that you need to do daily, things you need to do weekly, and then maybe that monthly or seasonal things. So the self-care things, set aside and half an hour a day to do those kind of things for yourself. Um, a sleep cycle, when you're going to wake up, the rituals you do, things you do during the day, and then things before you go to bed at night. Some time for meditation, prayer, the grounding, any other personal needs you might have, or your family, your pets, neighbors, anybody, your friends that you might be helping, and pamper yourself. Give yourself baths, foot soaks, um, there's areas that you might feel inflammation or whatever. Pay attention to those areas and try to do something about them. And then our healthy habits and activities. Maybe we make our own herbal remedies or we research them and we are using them, tinctures and teas. Maybe you like to pickle and can or create your own fabulous dishes. You could grow some of your own herbs and harvest and dry those. So growing, you can even grow sprouts on the countertop. So there's all kinds of things you can do. Exercise programs, vacation, plan times for you to recharge and have some time off to rest and relax. And then when we start organizing our life by the moon phases, we make those lists of those healthy habits and those things that we want to do. And then we prioritize those, again, what's daily, weekly, and all that. And then we can actually fit them into a calendar of the things that we want to do. So decide to those things that you want to do. Get yourself a calendar or an app or whatever works for you, and know each one of these months has got a theme to it. So January is like new beginnings, February is embracing love, and etc. We're going to go through all of those here quickly after this slide. And then I also prepared the moon phases for 2024 for you, so you can kind of see when those dates are. January is about rejuvenation. So, obviously it's winter and we spend a lot of time indoors. So it's a good time to organize ourselves and go through, clean out our cupboards and our closets and give things out to the Goodwill. A lot of self-care, detox, restoration, immune boosting, superfoods and herbs and smoothies and teas and things like that. If we ingest warm and spicy herbs and foods, that helps keep us warm and healthy during the wintertime. We also might want to sprout seeds on the countertops or maybe get a lot of houseplants. Houseplants really help to keep our indoor environment clean. So lots of things we can do in January. And then as we move into February, February is the month of passion, month of love, self-discovery. So even if you are single, self-love and letting go of the past, allowing yourself to heal from the past, things that might, you don't even realize that you're still holding on to. But the idea of embracing life and the passion of life. So this is all about love and thinking about self-care and a lot of things with roses, and you can drink some nice green and black teas, create DIY bath salts, maybe gifts for people or your partner, but it's really embracing life. And then as we get warmer, we turn to March. March is mindfulness, meditation, and moderation. We start going into spring after winter, depending on where you live. But it's a good time for inner reflection and getting ready for spring. Rejuvenation tonics, time for introspective, and a good time to start with gardening. Maybe you're doing starts inside. You might see at the garden centers, they might have bare root plants available, fruit trees and things like that. So might be a good time if you want to start doing some gardening. And then April, spring awakens, good time for new beginnings. We can start planting outside and start working outside, getting fresh air. Cool season starts can be planted. And we want to do low impact things, getting ourselves rejuvenated. And then comes May, our flower month. Gardens fully awaken or begin to fully awaken depending on where you live. Good time to directly sow seeds right outside in the garden versus starting them indoors. We can plant still a lot of root veggies and herb seeds. And as we warm up, you can start putting out your warm season starts like tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that. You might need to use a frost cloth if we've got some cool evenings. You can get your hanging baskets going outside. Beneficial insects will start being available at the local garden centers. We can start eating more fresh foods and fruits and start using cooling herbs that benefit us during the warmer months. And we could proceed to do that throughout the summer. June, summer is here, and it's still spring, but we still think of it as summer. Our houseplants can get put outside. We can start enjoying tropical plants. Um, start harvesting some of those strawberries that you might have planted. It's last of the cool season veggies. We can look for insect damage. We could start um, being outside more, barbecuing, um, growing things, and enjoying the outdoors. And then, depending on how the summer is, here in the Pacific Northwest, it can be, our summers in the Pacific Northwest sometimes can be quite wet. So, oftentimes July is kind of when we think of summer happening. So each year is different. Our climate changes so much, our weather varies. So we got to take it when we can get it. But usually around the 4th of July is when we consider summer here. So we can still utilize a lot of planting in our gardens and weeding and watering. Maybe we're going to make pickles or canning or jam, a pesto sauce. Maybe we want to create a pollinator garden or a kids garden. But we want to make sure that we protect our skin with sun protection. And maybe we want to build a fort or a shed or some nice outdoor place, a pergola or some kind of a arbor, that kind of thing. And then August is typically the hottest month of the year. We can start harvesting some of our veggies that we might have available. Water, weeding, a lot of that. Don't forget to harvest some of those herbs you've been growing so that you can use them in the winter for seasoning blends and things like that. Making salsa, canning, pickling, lots of those kinds of things. Take a vacation, enjoy time off. And then September, that's kind of that back to school month, time to plan our fall and winter tasks. That's when we want to start planting our cold season starts, like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, those kind of things. If you wanted to direct sow them, July and August would be the months to actually direct sow the seeds out there. But you'll see in garden centers they'll have starts available if you didn't already start them yourselves. And then we could do some harvesting of our veggies, um, start getting the garden ready for fall. Prune if we need to. I'd be a little cautious on that. March is a good time to do a lot of pruning here in the garden. In October, we start definitely cooling down. Good time to winterize, to harvest plants. We can plant a lot of cool season veggies like lettuces and greens and spinach and things like that. So there's lots of time for that, and good time to start thinking about going back into those warming seasonings, chai spice, things like that. Um, Making DIY blends, preparing for cold and flu and things like that. So if you like to make teas and tinctures, October is a great month to do that. And then we get into November, that's the fall festival. I'll make sure all our plants are winterized and all of our garden tools and things that are outside. And then anything that we need to transplant, we can do that when things have gone dormant. And then we start moving inside more and doing more DIY herbal remedies. Maybe you want to make gifts for people. So lots of things that we can do that, nice homemade gifts. And then December, holiday month, a great time to decorate, makes you feel good. feed the birds, have your old little local ecosystem out in your yard. You could start an indoor garden if you'd like. Um, do those DIY herbal projects. Remember those gifts and that holiday, spending time with your friends and family. So here's just an example of a little calendar here, and to pull this all together, and the kind of things that you could put down on your calendar. So whether it's the calendar app on your computer, laptop, or your phone, device, whatever, or a paper calendar. You can put those things in there, and that can kind of help keep you to create those rituals and to kind of keep yourself on task. And when you do complete those tasks, it makes you feel good. You get that little shot of dopamine, and that will really help you with your life mission plan. So I hope this helps you plan your life with the moon. And I also have some blogs that correspond to this, as well as a Restore You class that'll be coming out soon. Thank you. Have a great day.